This video is about what cardiology is missing, and you hear of LDL cholesterol being the cause of heart disease, and then the avoidance of anything else related to chronic disease, such as the avoidance of inflammation or lipoprotein particles or other factors such as HDL particles. So standard cardiology is still all about LDL cholesterol, LDL, 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 and dismissing everything else as not needed or even sometimes just total quackery. But I want to start off by saying that 2 years ago, in June of 2023, the American Heart Association came out with an article talking about how cardiologists need to look for heavy metals. So cadmium, tin, lead, mercury. The American Heart Association is saying, don't just focus on LDL cholesterol. There's more to it. There's heavy metals, and I'm going to go over other situations such as infections. And these are the two major subjects that cardiology is missing. I was listening to a podcast recently, and there was two cardiologists talking, and the one was all about LDL cholesterol, and the other one was about metabolism and eating a low-carb diet. And the one cardiologist talking about LDL kept saying, yeah, but only 30% of people who have a heart attack have insulin resistance.
Not a high percentage. I mean, maybe in your population is different, but in like from what we see, the majority of people who have heart attacks, only 25% of them have diabetes. So it is the other 70 to 80% don't.
And that's, at best 30%. It could be down to 9% depending on the study that you're looking at.
Even if you counted pre-diabetes, 15 to 35, maybe 38% of the population, depending on what study you want to look at, has insulin resistance that's not yet been diagnosed as diabetic. 9.3% has type 2 diabetes, like outright. So that's not, and that's not the majority of people that are having heart attack.
And I'm thinking, well, what are the other 70%? What's causing their heart attacks? And the cardiologist said, it just happens.
The majority of people having heart attacks are just people having heart attacks.
And that is not a true statement. 70% of heart attacks don't just happen. They're caused by something. And I'm telling you, it's infections and toxins. And the American Heart Association is saying it. And the science is saying that. And there's a bunch of other doctors that are saying that. And that's what I'm going to go over with you right now. So first, I'm showing you that cardiology is failing at their mission of preventing heart disease. This is a graph of the last 30 years. Below me, you can see 1990 to 2019. And you can see at the top here, the rate of heart disease has not changed. It's basically 6,500 or so people per 100,000 people have heart disease. And the link is below. I'm not just making this up. This is in the published medical science. So if you're a cardiologist, you can't just be talking about LDL cholesterol. You got to talk about the other things. You can talk about metabolism, heavy metals, and infections. Those are the three main causes of heart disease. And this has been known for 90 plus years. I'm going to go over that too. So the definition of medicine is the art and science of the prevention and cure of disease. And if you're in this specialty and you're not preventing heart disease, then you have to rethink what you're doing. And this is the article right here from the American Heart Association. And the title is Contaminant Metals as Cardiovascular Risk Factors, a scientific statement from the American Heart Association. So we're going to scroll down to the bottom. And they're talking about lead, cadmium, mercury. I'm just going to jump into the conclusion right here. Extensive literature reviewed in this statement suggests that exposure to metals constitutes a significant risk factor for cardiovascular disease, including ischemic heart disease, stroke, and peripheral arterial disease. There is also convincing evidence that higher plasma or urinary levels of metals such as arsenic, lead, and cadmium are associated with subclinical cardiovascular disease, hypertension, dyslipidemia, and electrical and functional disturbances in the myocardium. So they're saying to doctors in this study, you have to look at metals, do some testing, and do therapy such as EDTA chelation, which is a medical drug that you put into an IV. And notice this term right above me. It says environmental cardiology. This is cardiologists that are looking at metals causing heart disease. And this is from September of 2006. And this is not a new idea. If you know a cardiologist that keeps talking about LDL cholesterol and they only give out statin drugs and perform surgery, then they're really stuck in, the 50s, 60s, and 80s. But now we have these new sciences and new understandings and the knowledge of the causes of chronic disease, including heart disease and honestly all chronic disease. This is an article published right here, orthomolecular.org. The title is Heart Failure or Therapy Failure, written by Dr. Thomas Levy, MD, JD, so he's a doctor and a lawyer. And he goes through how heavy metals can cause heart disease and other factors. It's a long article with 258 references. So I'm going to scroll down to the bottom here. There's the references. Sorry if you're getting dizzy from this, but this is well referenced. And I'm going to show you some slides from a presentation that he gave to give you bullet points. So there you go. Number 258 is right there. Here's a series of slides by Dr. Thomas Levy. And I told him I'm using your slides. And he said, okay, it's heavy metal poisoning, the other pandemic. So I skipped down to this slide. It's about heavy metals in the heart. And there's this reference down here by the Journal of the American College of Cardiology. Marked elevation of myocardial trace elements in idiopathic dilated cardiomyopathy compared with secondary cardiac dysfunction. They're mentioning elements, but they should be saying heavy metals. And what they're saying is in advanced dilated congestive cardiomyopathy, heavy metals abound. The myocytes contain 22,000 times more mercury than normal controls. So the muscle cells have 22,000 times more mercury in sick heart disease patients than normal heart patients or normal people. 12,000 times more antimony. This is in autopsies. 11 times more gold, 13 times more chromium, and 4 times more cobalt. Also high levels of lead, nickel, copper, and manganese. And there's this article that I just showed you. I'm going to scroll down. And there's a whole bunch of other notes talking about mercury coming from silver fillings. And also antimony comes from plastic, like microwavable plastic. And here it says antimony is considered to have comparable or even greater toxicity in the body than arsenic. And these numbers right here, that's the citation for the scientific article right there. So here you have several citations, 1, 2, 3, 4 in this one slide. In uncarbonated bottled water, time of contaminant and heat accelerate antimony leaching into the water. In carbonated water and beverages, the acidity also accelerates the antimony release. Microwaving it also promotes antimony release into the food or into your mouth. In fruit juice, concentrates produced and bottled in PET plastic in the UK as much as 8 to 9 times more antimony than the established EU limits of antimony for tap water were found. Someone with heart failure will have a very large accumulation of heavy metals everywhere in their body, making all tissues and organs more susceptible to new oxidative damage and inflammation than if the heavy metal toxins were absent. It also means that nearly everyone without heart failure will also have less massive accumulations of heavy metals throughout the body, negatively impacting every organ or tissue and augmenting the damage that will be inflicted by any new toxin exposure. So there's a degree of toxicity in everybody because we just live in a very toxic place called planet Earth. And I want to bring up this one point. Heavy metals are not going to mobilize and be excreted on their own. I hear on social media, oh my gosh, I can't believe medical doctors saying if you want to detoxify, just drink water or eat fruit or go for a walk around the pond or something. It's ridiculous. They don't know the science at all. They claim to be scientists and they do, they only state scientific articles, but yet they don't think detoxing is even a thing. They think detox juices or detox baths or, detox binders are total quackery, but it's all over the literature and it's in the science. So Dr. Thomas Levy is saying everybody needs to be on a chelation regimen. Now I do like every day, whether it's a liver pill or a charcoal binder or, something a little bit every day. I've done higher amounts when I had a gas leak at my house for a year. After that, I did high amounts of detoxing. And I also had mold in 2016. I detoxed that for 7 years. You can't just walk around the park thinking that your body's going to get rid of toxins. So Dr. Levy goes on about lead and copper and iron. You may have seen us on social media. These iron fillings are from cereal. And I actually saw a medical doctor say, well, you should eat these iron fillings here in the cereal because they prevent anemia. Well, that's not a good thing to do. It's not food. Now, there's iron that's bound to plants and there's iron that's in meat. But if you just eat metal shavings like that, it's not good for you. It's very toxic. Aluminum, cobalt, cadmium, and chromium, they all can be eliminated with supplements and with EDTA chelation. The next thing I want to go over are infections. They can cause heart disease. And I want to talk about this because I saw this one article, again, from the American Heart Association, saying infections may be a trigger, and they put that in quotes, for heart attack, stroke. And in that article, they talk about, hey, it's really a surprise, but you might not know this, but bacteria can cause a heart attack or cause heart disease. And my response is, well, we've actually known this for 30 years. There's an organism called nanobacteria. It's 50 times smaller than normal bacteria, and that has been shown to produce a biofilm which hardens, and when you add calcium and other minerals, and that becomes plaque. And there are supplements that reverse the calcium deposit and the biofilm and eliminate the organism and heal the tissue. There's Cavidex, there's Nanobactx, which I sell, there's Med5, there's a new one called ArthroCare. These are supplements that are designed to unplug the arteries, and they address the organisms that's causing it. Now you can do a simple search. Do infections cause heart disease? Can bacteria cause heart disease? Can microorganisms cause heart disease? And the answer is yes, infections can cause heart disease. Various microorganisms, including viruses, bacteria, fungi, and parasites, are recognized as significant causes of cardiac diseases affecting all components of the heart structure, such as the pericardium, myocardium, endocardium, valves, and even coronary arteries. Follow me with this quote right here. It says, with root canals and other chronically infected teeth, the leakage of pathogens and toxins can be slow, and breast cancer or a heart attack due to those infected teeth can take years to occur. So yeah, you can have a problem or an infection in your mouth, and that can cause heart attacks also. And this is from root canals cause breast cancer frequently, from the same reference, orthomolecular.org. And I'm going to show you all the references. This has 262 references, this one article about infected teeth causing breast cancer and other diseases. I'll put the links below. So let's talk about how you treat all this stuff. So I'm going to quote 6 doctors, and over the course of decades, these doctors have come up with the same solutions for all chronic disease. There's a pattern. So when you're in healthcare, you're a clinician, especially in the free market. You don't have some bosses over you, like some hospital administrator or Medicare, Medicaid insurance companies. If it's just you and the patient, you're going to see patterns appear over the course of years. And this is something that I'm very proud of, like saying that I've recognized these patterns and I put them down in graphics. I'm going to show you that. But so did Dr. Thomas Levy. So this, again, is back to his slides. And I'm going to show you 3 more slides from this presentation. So in the slide, it says promoters of all chronic diseases. There's 2 of these slides. This one is about toxins. And he's mentioning specifically toxins that come from infections. So bacteria, etc., they emit dangerous chemicals. So you got to get rid of the toxins. And then this one says promoters of all chronic diseases. More toxins coming from externally, like environment. Maybe bad supplements like toxic iron and copper or calcium. Or if you're eating too much sugar, your body can't metabolize calcium very well. So then you get a buildup of toxins in the soft tissue. And there's other causes of toxin sources. And at the very bottom, it says low sex hormone problems. Like that could be another factor in trying to fix chronic illness. The very last slide I want to show you from his presentation is the treatment principles for all chronic disease. And it says, prevent or minimize new daily toxin exposure, get rid of the toxins, neutralize them in the body, excrete them out, resolve infections and chronic pathogens, take good supplements, and then address hormones if you need to. That pattern right there is reproduced by other doctors. Check this out. This is Dr. Simon Yu. He's an internist. He kind of specializes in cancer. He doesn't treat cancer. He treats the cause of cancer. And what he says is that you have mitochondrial dysfunction, and it's caused by infections here and toxins here. Also take good supplements and have a good diet. Maybe you have to fix some genetics and other social or dental problems. But you get the idea. There's toxins, there's infections, there's mitochondrial dysfunction. I agree with this, and I learned this also from the doctors of the 1930s, and they said the same thing. You have to get rid of the causes of chronic disease. That's toxins, pathogens, and then a bad diet. Then you have to get rid of the mechanism, which is mitochondrial dysfunction. Although they didn't say that back then, they called it lactic acidosis. And then you get rid of symptoms by feeding the organs, but you got to do all 3 of these. Based on what I showed you, I created the 7-step blueprint to optimal health. Step 1 is diet, and then step 2 and 3 are preparing for detoxification of parasites, which is in steps 4 and 5. Parasites harbor heavy metals, chemicals, Lyme disease, candida, mold, so you got to get the parasites out. And Dr. Simon Yu that I just showed you, he agrees you have to have a hyper focus on parasites. When the parasites are gone, then you can start detoxing metals and chemicals and plastic, etc. in step 6, and then Lyme disease, which are intracellular organisms, they come out in step 7, along with other toxins that are inside the cells. If I were to show this to the founders of medicine back in 1932 or 1940, they would agree with me on this. And now we have this unbelievable blood test. It's really inexpensive. It's only $89 when you buy it from my office. And it measures all the things I just told you. It measures glyc-A, which is infection and inflammation. It measures small molecule particle number, which is toxicity. And then citrate is mitochondrial dysfunction. And the last 3 things, valine, leucine, and isoleucine, that's related to diet and nutrition absorption. You can use this test to give yourself a score, and then you can let it guide you down the right path, and you can track progress. And I have patients run this every 6 to 8 weeks to make sure that we're on the right track and actually getting good results. It shows them that my supplement recommendations are good, and it shows me that their diet is good. If you're a patient, you need this accountability. If you're a doctor, you need this tool also. If you're a doctor, go to mvxtraining.com and learn how to use this. It's really important. If you're a patient and you want to get this run, go to the front page of my website, thenecaa.com. Upper right corner says MVX testing. So I agree with the American Heart Association that cardiologists need to test for infections and toxicity in really all of their patients. I know of a patient who got a stent put in a year ago, and I know he's got infections because he gets fast plaquing on his teeth, fast tartar, which is the same mechanism as plaquing in the arteries. His LDL cholesterol has been normal for his whole life. It's not an LDL issue. And this patient said to me, I went to the hospital, they put the stent in me, I feel so much better. And he goes, I'm so glad that they found the cause of my chest pain. And I was like, yeah, I'm happy for you. Now, I personally have had chest pain from 2016 from black mold, and in 2024 from a gas leak. Both times I spent thousands of dollars going to doctors. I got, 4 EKGs in 2016. I got 2 in 2024. I got a CT of my brain in 2024. And they're only looking for plaquing. And they didn't find any. And I don't have plaquing in my arteries. I had other causes. I had infections and toxins. Those are the things that the American Heart Association is telling the doctors to look for. So if my doctor was looking for infections in 2016, they maybe would have found the mold. And if my doctor in 2024 was looking for toxins, they would have asked me, do you have a gas leak? And I probably would have said, no, but maybe, let me go check. These are things that need to be ruled out. This is more holistic care instead of just looking for plaqued arteries. In the spring of 2025, I did a hardcore detox program in a sauna where I spent more than 4 hours a day in the sauna for 18 days. And before I did that, it was required that I go get a medical examination. Well, the doctor asked me, have you ever had heart disease? And I said, yeah, well, in 2016, I had mold and it about killed me. And it hurt my heart. My blood pressure was high. I couldn't breathe very well. Left arm numb. He goes, no, but have you had heart disease? And I said, well, in 2024, I had this gas leak. I went to the ER, couldn't breathe, high blood pressure. My chest hurt so bad, 8 out of 10, pressure in my heart. He goes, no, did you ever have heart disease? And I said, do you mean plaqued arteries? He goes, yeah. I was like, no, I've not had plaqued arteries. He goes, okay, good. And then he wrote down, no heart disease. He goes, those other things were temporary. Well, they're only temporary because I found them and I fixed them. No thanks to conventional medicine. And every cardiologist needs to look for toxins and infections just like I do, just like my associates do, just like my other doctors that I give lectures to and I listen to their lectures and we meet at these big conferences. We talk about the causes of all chronic disease. It's malnutrition, infections, toxins, mitochondrial dysfunction, and inflammation. And all of those are measured in MVX+. So if you're a doctor, go to mvxtraining.com, sign up. If you want to be a patient of the office, call the office. I'll put the phone number at the very end. If you just want to dip your toe into this information, buy the Vitamin B1 ebook. It's $5. If you're ready to get more active, but you're not ready to be a patient, go to theholistichealthacademy.com.